Hi everyone, welcome to Rike Sports and our Formula One show and preview of a Sakhir Grand Prix with Ollie from F1 Global. Hi Ollie, how are you?
Hi mate, really good. How you doing?
Good, thanks, good, thanks. We've got so much to talk about this week. So, incident-packed race last weekend first to talk about, and we have to start with Grosjean. What an accident that was. The Formula One's so advanced now, and they managed to get him out of that situation really quickly. It saved his life. It really was a situation where you were worried for his life at the time. Thank God nothing happened, and he just got away with a few burns. And they got him out. Watching it live, I was just in shock to see that fire like that, and then just to see how quick everything happened. The marshals managed to get him out. It was a full-blown fire. It wasn't like it started slowly. It just went whoosh out of like nowhere. And it was a shock to see that, just like I say, thank God the Formula One's technology has really moved on. The halo, as we know as well, played a big part in saving him. It just showed, because there was a lot of opposition for the halo, you remember, when it first came out. So it just showed that this really was an important device that they have installed into the cars. It saved his life, as well as the quick work of the marshals and the way the cars are designed. The whole barrier ripped up. So yeah, how did you watch that?
We were saying before, I wasn't watching the race live because I was out. I'll just go on Twitter because I'll see what's happening in the first lap, blah, blah, blah. And I just saw a video of a car just smashing and catching fire. And it was just unbelievable. Like, I just had to stop. I was on a family walk. It felt pretty bad, but I just had to stop and just get updates. I mean, like you said, it's a testament to the safety. You think not even 10 years ago, how old's the Halo now? 3 years old maybe? Yeah. He would have been dead. The way the barrier separated when his car went through, it looks like it's sort of been brought above his head because of the halo. So, yeah, I mean, Grosjean, in that sense, is very lucky. But I think it's a big testament to the amazing work that Formula One and the FIA have done to make these cars as safe as possible. And a massive kudos and amazement of Grosjean as well. I think, I was reading an account of it this morning of, he spoke to French TV, and he obviously had all the fire around him. But if you watch, he tried to get out through the gap at first, and that terrified me when I watched the replays. But then, he had to then compose himself and get back over the top of the fence. So I think, it was amazing from Grosjean himself. I think that should really be applauded, as well as the marshals, as well as the medical team, that he managed to get himself out of that situation. Super scary. I hope we never see that again, especially a car splitting in half like that. But, we'll get the results of the investigation in about 6 to 8 weeks, apparently. So it'll be interesting to see actually what caused the fire, because it shouldn't have happened, apparently.
Yeah, it was kind of shocking, like, just the way it went on fire. Like, so when I was watching it, you saw the cars about to go into the barrier. So you're thinking it'll be the normal situation. The barrier will absorb the impact, and then a bit of damage on the front wing maybe. Yeah, but not the whole car to split in half like that. It's just, I don't know what went on there. Something with the barrier is not quite right. And yeah, definitely, we need to look into that. But as we said, the main thing is that the advanced technology of Formula One, we're not seeing the problems they used to see back in the day now. And this is further proof of it's being much safer. But it's also a reminder, as Lewis was saying, hearing his quotes about what he was saying, that it's a reminder that they are putting their lives at risk. And, it is a very dangerous sport at the end of the day. These things can happen. So yeah, then going on to how the race went, again, it was Lewis, a masterclass, just controlled it from the front. There was a long delay, and then they got back out, restarted race. Bottas dropped down because of a puncture, so Max was the threat to Lewis, but Lewis just had him in his pocket, I think. We know Mercedes got the superior car, so it was quite an easy win for Lewis. Just kept ahead of Max enough. Didn't really push himself, I don't think. He had more in his hand if he wanted to go faster, but he won quite comfortably. Behind that, so Max, as we said, got second, and Alex Albon got a really important podium for him. So what was your thoughts on other parts of the race?
I'm really happy to see Albon on the podium. I'm a big defender of Albon, and I'm a big fan of him. People obviously saying, oh, it's like Perez's engine blew, he wouldn't have got past him. Well, I mean, this is what Formula One is. It does come down to dumb luck sometimes, and if that helps him keep his seat, I'm sure he won't mind. You think of Raikkonen winning the championship 2007, kind of got lucky that Hamilton's gearbox played up in those first couple of laps. Otherwise it could have been a different story. And also, if Perez's engine had gone out in the first 5 laps, first 10, 20 laps, no one would have said it was luck. So really good race from Albon. they're definitely keeping him. I don't see them not, unless there's a big thing that happens with Yuki Tsunoda not getting his super license, but that's pretty much nailed on. And then him to AlphaTauri. Red Bull announced that Albon's part of Wings for Life, part of the Red Bull charity. So it'd be kind of strange, if they announced that and they've waited this long for them to only go, no, you haven't got that seat. So I think it's pretty much nailed in. I think they're just waiting to see what happens in the F2 Championship first. But I think the other people to call out as well is the two McLarens, 4th and 5th, and Pierre Gasly, who must have been praying to the safety car gods to somehow get that 6th place. When I looked down the list of finishers, Pierre Gasly in 6th was not the first thing I saw, but very lucky to get that, and the safety cars helped him. But amazing race, and like you said, Hamilton way up front, dominant force, 5 in a row. I truly believe he could have made it 6 and 7, maybe if it wasn't for COVID. So it's a real shame. I mean, Bottas again. What are you thinking about this now, especially with it leads on to Russell being against him next weekend?
Yeah, exactly.
What do you think?
Yeah, so Bottas is under pressure. So first of all, as everyone will know by now, that big news this week that came out that Lewis Hamilton unfortunately has got coronavirus and he's going to miss this weekend's race. And it's the first race Lewis has missed since the start of his career, which is like, for us, we've been watching the sport all these years. He's always been there every race. It's going to feel really strange to not see him at this weekend's race. It's going to be sad. So unfortunate there for Lewis, but that's given Russell a great opportunity now. So this has put a lot of pressure on Bottas, I think. He's performed so poorly this season, so poorly in recent races. He's been nowhere. In that car, he should be doing way better than he has been doing. So now Russell's got the opportunity. It's going to be a bit difficult for Russell because remember, he's tested with Mercedes before. He knows the team well, but he's going to be coming in at a point where he's just been used to the Williams, completely different beast of a car than Mercedes. So it's going to be interesting. I think Russell's got a lot of natural ability, so he will adapt quickly. Now, the key is, will he beat Bottas? If he can beat Bottas this weekend, that puts enormous pressure on Mercedes. And even I know Bottas has got the contract for next year, but really, I think, but I don't know what you think, but we'll go into predictions for the race a little bit later. But let's just predict now. Do you think Russell can beat Bottas this weekend?
I think he can beat him. I don't think he will beat him. It's like you said, but we should give some respect to Bottas. His 1 lap pace, especially in qualifying, is good. He has shown that a couple of pole positions this year. He also knows the car a lot better. He is, he knows the team. He knows the ins and out. But yeah, you are right. George Russell is really fast. He is really, really fast. And he's shown that in tests before with Mercedes. I do think Bottas will win. I think he'll purely beat Russell. Sorry, I do purely think it'll be out of the experience with the car, especially in a race scenario. But I think Russell's going to push him, and he's going to want to push him because he wants that seat in 2022. And Bottas keeps getting these 1-year deals. And to me, that's a very clear message that you're all right. It's because Lewis is here, and we know you're not too much of a threat. But if something else comes along that we need, we're gonna have it. And whether that's Russell, whether that's Verstappen, there's always been that chatter. I think Bottas needs to watch out. So yeah, I'm excited for this duel. I think maybe not quite a duel in the desert, but I think it could be some sparring in Sakhir. Maybe that's a good way of putting it. Yeah. But yeah, are you going for a Bottas ahead of Russell or the other way around?
I really I was thinking, looking at the weekend and looking at the track. So we'll go into predictions about who will win shortly towards the end. But in terms of between them two, as you're saying, I'll give the edge to Bottas. I don't think Bottas is a bad driver. I just think he's been poor this season, especially. I think the pressure's got to him a lot because this season it wasn't like the last couple of years where Ferrari were in the mix, so it wasn't really a battle between just the two teammates, But this year, it's there's no one else that's really been able to compete with him. So Bottas has had a great opportunity to get a lot more wins. He can't challenge Lewis, but at least get a lot more wins and a lot more second places. But he's just been really poor during the races. But he's going to have a point to prove this weekend. And he's got the edge, as I said, in terms of being used to the car, the team. And one thing that's interesting about Russell, where I saw a stat about him, is he's never been beaten in qualifying by a teammate. That's some record. So if he can keep that up this weekend, that's going to put him on the way to potentially beating Bottas, But as you said, Bottas is a very strong qualifier. He pushes Lewis quite often, So got to give Bottas credit where it's due. I think Bottas will just edge it between them two. but it will be close. I don't think it will be so easy. But yeah, talking about that, so there's some other great opportunities as well. Same for Russell, but also there's the replacement for Grosjean for Haas. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, Pietro Fittipaldi. I don't really know too much about him. Obviously, Fittipaldi name very famous in Formula One, but as far as Pietro's concerned, he's done a couple of tests with Haas. His journey to that seat is a bit odd, not doing GP2. He did some other random little series, and as far as I'm aware, I've only read sort of basic things. The fields in those series were pretty poor. I'm not expecting a lot from him. Everyone was going, Hulkenberg, get him in, or Kubica as well. Actually, there was a bit of a rumour that they were going to look at him, but Haas don't have that much money. They're already paying this kid. He's only a kid as well. We've got to remember that. So why wouldn't they go for it? They're not going to waste too much more money this season, I don't think. But it's a great opportunity for him. However harsh it sounds, I think the only time we'll see him again in an F1 car may be a simulator after this, put it that way, or maybe in a test session. I don't think he's race material. He brings a big name, he brings some sponsorship, and that's what Haas needed. But real big opportunity for him in the Haas. Magnussen's going to wipe the floor with him. Don't get me wrong. Magnussen's going to destroy him. And that's in a Ferrari on a Ferrari powered car, the Haas, which is even worse, on a power track. So that'll be interesting. And then, of course, the other seat is Aitken to Williams to replace Russell, and that's another great opportunity. I'm a big fan of Aitken. He's been unfortunately not stuck. He chose to go there, the Campos seat in F2, and they've been pretty poor, but he's extracted a lot out of that car. But I feel like he's deserved this shot. He's a good racer. He's shown that. Older than people realise. He is 25 years old, so this may be his last sort of shot in F1. Like, people sort of thinking he'll be in sports cars next. But yeah, I'm really excited to see that. If you haven't already, check out my Instagram page, because he has the best helmet design I think I've ever seen. So I'm plugging my own Instagram, but do check it out because it is absolutely stunning. I think it's best ever helmet designs. So yeah, and then of course we've got the Haas seats, like Schumacher's back in F1, Mick Schumacher, and Nikita Mazepin for next season. So all these young guns coming through, and we're losing some experienced names, some big names, and it's going to be a bit of a shame. But Grosjean and Magnussen, I don't know how to sum up their careers. Magnussen is a bit of an odd one. Grosjean has had an amazing career, but yeah, what do you think about those two leaving? You happy to see him go? You sad?
I think like Grosjean, great driver. We know he does make a few mistakes though down the years. That was always his Achilles heel. But it's nice to see some young drivers coming through. Mick Schumacher, he's carrying that big tag of his father's. We know all about his father, so pressure will be there. I just hope that the media give him time. We know what it can be like with putting pressure on a young driver. He's been doing well. I've followed a little bit of what he's been doing in the junior categories, and he's got a great opportunity. If he's got the speed that his father had, he's going to have an amazing career. And we look forward to see how he progresses. He's one of the Ferrari, under the Ferrari wing, ain't he, with the development. So if he does well there, potentially later down the line, there would be a seat at Ferrari for him. And imagine him and Leclerc together later down the line. And that would be some pairing, because Leclerc's still young. Leclerc this season, we're not spoke so much about him, but he's a great driver. He's shown even in a really poor performing Ferrari what a good driver he is. So yeah, no, it's good to see these young drivers coming through. There's a real good generation of them coming through. Verstappen and Leclerc, I'd say, at the top of the next generation coming through. And there's these younger ones just behind them that, definitely it would be nice to see. It's good about giving opportunities. So that was the thing in Formula One. As you know, sometimes it's so difficult to get opportunities. A lot of it comes down to, in the day, of who you are, your sponsorship deals, what you can bring money-wise, and it's really difficult to get into that sport. So it's good. You've seen more drivers getting opportunities. As you're saying, it'd be nice if there's a few more teams as well, so that would get even more opportunities to the young drivers, and hopefully later down the line, that will happen.
Yeah, we need more teams. It's the classic issue we have. We discussed in the previous podcast about this, but I remember, is it 2014, 2013? We had HRT, Caterham, Mauritia, or Manor, whatever you want to call them at that point. And it sounds silly. They were always at the back, but That's 6 seats that could, at least 3 of them were given to young guys. That's where Ricardo was at one point. That's where Ocon was at one point. So, it is a real shame that we don't have these smaller teams anymore. F1 as a sport needs to sort that out. They joined because they were told the money distribution would be different, and then they left because it didn't change and they couldn't afford it anymore, which was a real shame. But yeah, Magnussen's an amazing driver. Grosjean, I really do rate. You don't get 10 podiums if you're not a good driver. I think that's a simple fact. So I'm going to miss both of them. I'm really going to miss Grosjean, actually. I've been a big defender of Grosjean throughout his career. And he's just a nice bloke as well. And it's quite nice having a nice bloke in the paddock. So I think that would be a real shame. So yeah, but we'll see. Like you said, young drivers coming in is always exciting, especially a Schumacher. Right?
Yeah.
I hope everybody knows the Schumacher name who's watching this. If you don't, go and do your research. But if he has, even half the skill his father had, then yeah, you're right. Him against Leclerc could be very, very interesting. But he's in a Haas to start with, so I think that media pressure, like you said, may be taken off him slightly, because that car is I'm trying to think of a fair way of saying awful, but it's awful. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I wouldn't want to be in the Haas this weekend. The Sakhir Grand Prix. It's a fast track and that is a slow car. So yeah, good luck to those boys.
Yeah, so looking ahead to that race now. So looking forward to, we were speaking about this a few weeks back. We were saying we're really both looking forward to this circuit. So it's the outer ring of the track, high speed. They're saying it's going to be the quickest lap in Formula One. And I was looking at it, it's just basically long, straight, a little bit of a wavy section with a few corners, if you want to call them corners. But then after that, just long, straight powering. So it's all about engine power. It's going to be fun because it's different. They're saying it's a short track, so it's like short as Monaco, basically. But high speed and definitely the teams that have a strong power unit. So last year, Ferrari would have been very dominant at the start. With that engine they had at the start of last season on this track, they would have been very dominant. But as we know, Mercedes is a dominant engine this season. What's your thoughts on the track?
It's 11 corners. We were sort of saying, but yeah, I'm so excited. They're saying lap times are going to be under a minute. It's a bit like, for me, you want to watch the 100 meters, but everybody's on steroids. That's what you want to see us just once. It's just how fast people can go, and that's what this is going to produce. As people, we always want to see how fast things can go, whether it's a train, a plane, a car, a motorbike, and this is going to be the ultimate speed test for these cars. Thing I'm worried about, actually, and throw back to Monza for every single year for the past couple of years, is qualifying. They've not come out and said anything that they're going to sort of stagger qualifying, which personally I think they should. So I think we could just end up with another sort of DRS type training qualifying that we saw where I think it was last season, where it was just a complete mess and half the field missed the timing for qualifying. So, we were saying about George Russell, that's actually my only concern for his weekend, is if the team gets it wrong in his qualifying, especially in Q3. I'm presuming he's going to get to Q3, by the way. But yeah, I'm so excited. Under a minute. It's going to be unbelievable. I don't know how many laps it is, though. So, I think it'll be really interesting as well to see the lap counter maybe be over 100 for once. Like, it'll feel like the Indy 500 maybe. So, yeah, very excited.
Yeah, I remember the slipstream thing, so that's going to be an issue. I remember the races you're talking about in Monza. You remember the one where they all missed it, so they didn't get enough time to get their qualifying laps in. Half the field, I think. So that was really bad. So hopefully nothing like that happens this time, and it'll be fair. It depends on, they take it in turns, so the teammates to slipstream each other. So hopefully that all works out well. We have a fair battle. So now looking at who we think is going to first qualify on pole, the top 3. This is a tricky one. So, always Hamilton's there. He's the big favourite, and it's kind of easy to predict. You haven't even got to really try hard. You haven't got to do too much research into things. You haven't even got to look at the track too much. He's so dominant at all tracks. It's not like he's got too many weaker tracks or anything like that. So he's not there this time. However, the Mercedes team are still there. and they have Bottas. They have a very good driver, not as good obviously as Hamilton, we know that, but still Russell is a very good driver. Then there's the Red Bulls. We know Verstappen's class, Albion. The track, as we said, is going to suit the cars with the stronger engine unit. So Renault, we saw they've been doing well on these sort of tracks for low downforce. So I'm sure all the teams are going to take the approach of having very little downforce. You don't really need much. There's not many corners. So it's all about speed. So what's your predictions in terms of top three for qualifying, first of all?
Top three for qualifying. I'm predicting Bottas and pole. I think he's going to get it. And then I'm going to go Sergio Perez and Lance Stroll. Saying that, I don't believe myself. I'm going to say that. Why not? I've mixed it up. I've tried to mix it up as much as possible this season. Yeah, go on then. Them three. Why not? I honestly have no clue. I'm basing it off of the engines. I think, if you sort of rank the engines, you've got Ferrari well at the bottom, and then you've got the Honda engines, which we know are lower on power, but than the others. And then it's a bit of a mix up between the Renault and the Mercedes. They seem to both be really, really strong units. So I'm going for essentially a Mercedes top three. I feel like that's fair. And then, maybe Russell fourth or fifth, probably mixing it up with Verstappen around there. But I'm going to predict boldly, I don't know why I'm saying this, I'm going to predict one of the Williams to out-qualify both the Haas's, both the Alfa Romeos, and one of the Ferraris. That's my bold claim for qualifying, is that. Bearing in mind that it's a rookie who's only had until now this season, and a guy who would have had one race. It is the boldest of bold predictions, but maybe, just maybe, I'll sneak that one in. I'm saying these things, but I'm not confident at all in them, which is maybe not a good sign. But yeah, what about you for qualifying?
Yeah,
Same
so
as me, or are you going wilder?
no, I think so. As you're saying, it's nice to have this where we're not so sure. Different style track, as we said. There's not the factor of a dominant Lewis Hamilton there as well, so that opens up a space for someone else in the top three. So it's interesting, like you say, it's going to favour the teams with their power units for sure. So Ferrari, you can count them being lower down the grid, and I don't know what happened with their engine, but Renault. I've noticed in Belgium, in Monza, there's some strong results there. These are tracks where low downforce. So Ricardo, I expect him to be up there. So for top three, as I was saying, I think Bottas will pip Russell, and I think the Mercedes is so far superior that I'm going for still a 1-2 Mercedes. So I'm going for Bottas to qualify first on pole, Russell in second, and Ricardo in third.
Yeah,
Okay, I
that's a good
think
shout.
Ricardo could just pip Verstappen. So that's my top three. I think Verstappen will get fourth. So then that's going to make a very interesting race, whichever order it finishes in, because as we know, this is the big thing with Bottas now, right? And this is the problem with him. So we know he's good in qualifying. He's pushed Lewis Hamilton, who is the best qualifier of all time, and he's pushed him many times and he's beaten him as well. So we know Bottas is a very good qualifier, but when it comes to his racecraft, his race driving, he's just been poor. I know he's had some bad luck as well, but just generally doesn't seem to be such a good race driver over that sort of distance. I don't know if it's a concentration thing, but he tends to make more mistakes than someone like Lewis would as well. So now the pressure's on. Right? If he's out in pole, there's no Lewis behind him putting the pressure on him. There's likely to be the young gun there, Russell. And then, as we know, Max is not going to be far behind either. You have a fast Renault's there as well. So can Bottas take pole first of all? If he does get pole, can he then go on and take the win? And that's going to be so interesting to see. Like, I'm really looking forward to this race, just like to see how that battle plays out. So, what's your thoughts on the race, man?
I mean, I have given Bottas the win. I think he'll get it, but I think you're 100% correct. And I think there's more pressure actually on him this weekend, Bottas, being that Hamilton isn't there. If Hamilton's there, we all go every week, or Hamilton's there. He's got no chance. We know what to expect. The pressure's on him, as in he needs to look like he's keeping up with his teammate. But yeah, the pressure is really on. You are correct. But I'm going to go Bottas 1. Team I did forget about was McLaren, Renault powered. So I've actually changed my prediction. So I'm going to go Bottas 1, Ricardo 2nd, and then I'm going to put Carlos Sainz in 3rd. That's going to be my thinking, and then I'm going to put George Russell in fourth. I think that's where he'll end up. And I think for qualifying as well, it'll be the same. I think it'll be a Bottas, Ricciardo, Sainz. We forgot about the McLarens. Fourth and fifth in Bahrain, power track. That should hopefully translate. And Carlos Sainz, for me, is one of the drivers of the season so far. Definitely one of the top 3 drivers of the season if we take out Hamilton. I think McLaren could do well this weekend, and I hope they do. They deserve it. They've had a bit of a rough time recently. Both drivers have had some retirements or some bad luck. So, yeah, I think Carlos Sainz for third place, Ricciardo second, and I think Bottas will lead from pole to the checkered flag. So, yeah, how about yourself?
Okay, so first, just having a look earlier, I was speaking to you about the weather. There might be a bit of rain about. Now, we keep saying this, as we say, when we think it'll be rain, it'll be bone dry, there'll be no rain, and it'll just be a normal race. But if there's some rain, it's on a high-speed track like that as well, that'll really throw some chaos into it. The forecast at the moment is that there might be a bit of rain on Saturday afternoon, but not around the time of qualifying. Saturday night, it's a night race. So, not sure about the qualifying. The race, they're saying the rain's due to be hitting in the morning. Again, the race will be at night. So we're not sure, but with these things, they're never 100% accurate. We could see a bit of rain, which would really make it interesting. I hope we get a bit of rain. That would just add to the spice of the whole weekend. But let's say either way, rain or no rain, I'm gonna go for Bottas. I think he's gonna know the pressure's on. He's gonna have to just find the in him back. He's got pole. That's gonna be a big advantage starting there. Saying that, with this sort of track, the slipstream, the DRS as well. So he needs to get ahead, get a good start, get well ahead of the pack, and then just control this, like we see Lewis do many times. And to Bottas' credit, he has won races. He has done this before. He's taken pole, gone on to win races, controlled them from the front. So he's got to find that in him again and take that win. So I'm going for him to win quite comfortably. And then in second, I'm going to go for Russell. I just think the Mercedes on this track, they're going to have too much for the rest of them, but it's just this track and their speed, they're just being so dominant all season, and they're not showing no signs of slowing down. They're saying Red Bull have been developing this year's car, Mercedes stopped developing this year's car. You remember we were talking about all of that, but I don't see much difference really. I think Mercedes is just so far ahead. So I just think Russell's going to also have a point to prove. He's going to want to really put in a good performance. So I see him strong race. Mercedes 1-2. So that's amazing. That's how strong the team is. Even without the best driver, they are still going to be 1-2 in my opinion. And they've got, even if they don't achieve it, they've got the capability of doing it. The car is that good. So we're going to go for them two as 1-2. And then the podium, the third place, difficult one. I'm going to go for Ricciardo. Max, Red Bull, great driver he is, but on that track, I don't know how they're going to perform. So it's a toss-up, really, but I'm going to go for Ricciardo. I just think because from previous form, they've done so well on them sort of tracks, the low downforce tracks. So, yeah, going for Ricciardo to get third. Behind them, as you said, a good shout at McLaren's. I think it'll be open. So, it's not going to be a foregone conclusion. I think it's going to be right up until the last laps where it'll be tight between the Renaults, the Red Bulls, and the McLaren's on and the racing points, not to discount them as well, So I think it'll be tight for that podium this time. And hopefully we'll see a really competitive race and enjoy the high speed.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I think I am excited. I'm very cautious as well because I feel it could either be close action, constant overtaking, or it could be a bit of a procession where everyone's sort of just stuck in a loop going round and everybody's in each other's DRS.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit worried about that. But I think a team took out for this weekend at Williams. That's a Mercedes power car. They're going to be stripping all the downforce off of it. Maybe they could get a point. You think 6 of the cars are Ferrari powered, 4 of them are Honda powered, and the Honda engine, like we were saying, isn't the best out there. So, maybe 1 or 2 are taken for the pickings, and, you think maybe there's 1 or 2 retirements. I think Williams have a real chance of sneaking in a point here. So I think those are my guys to look out for. And, there was apparently they were a bit reluctant to let Russell go. I'm sure some money from Mercedes quickly made them lose that. But apparently they were keen to hold on to him for that very reason, that it's a power track. They've got a Mercedes engine and Russell's a brilliant driver. So Yeah, that's my other prediction. Is I'm going to call a Williams point or points this weekend. One driver, I think, but I think 1 or 2 points maybe. So yeah, watch it now be the most boring race we've ever seen. We're all excited. It's like the rain theory. So yeah.
Let's hope not. It's the second last race of the season now. It's been a really good season, and let's hope we have a good race here. I mean, the last one's next week in Abu Dhabi. Great to have you on again, Ollie. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me, mate. Appreciate it.
And please, for my viewers, remember to subscribe, like, and share. Thank you.